Spacialle, please introduce yourself, teach us how to say your name properly, and then tell us where you came from and your journey to Nosara.
Okay. My name is Spacialle, like Michelle, seashell, Spacialle. People call me Spacialle, a lot of Latino things that I answer to, but my given name is Spacialle Ambrosia. It means special nectar of the gods. My mom made it up. I'm definitely from a hippie place. I was raised in Chicago.
It's cold in Chicago.
It is cold in Chicago. And when we moved back there when I was in second grade, my mantra became, I'm moving to the beach on the equator where there is no winter. So this place was my lifelong goal.
Gotcha. Was it Mexico or did it start as Florida?
Well, it started as Mexico. Actually, the first time I went to Mexico was before you even had to have a passport to go there. I went like as a teenager with my birth certificate and my driver's license. And I have always been fascinated with Latin American culture. I went as far to get my degree in cultural studies with a focus in Latin America. I'm a beach bunny. I love nature. I've always wanted to be somewhere where there are no billboards. There's just palm trees telling you to love yourself instead of whatever billboard telling you to go buy something so your friends like you.
Is this commercialism the part that drove you even past Mexico deeper,
yes,
further?
Definitely. Well, I mean, a degree in cultural studies means I picked apart media and what media does to drive the public in the arts, in music, in what the internet's done to change us. And I was pretty well disgusted with late capitalism when I graduated college, and I wanted to be as far from billboards and society as possible. And at that point, I had traveled a lot of Central America. I spent a lot of time in Panama, actually, before I adopted Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And it was only because of a cheap flight that I wound up coming through Costa Rica to get to Panama once that I was like, hey, no military, cheaper food, nicer people. I like Costa Rica.
So where'd you go to first in Costa Rica, and then how'd you get to Nosara?
Really, Puerto Viejo was my first exposure. And then from that, I was still in college at that point. And because I hate winter, I did a semester abroad, and I chose a program in San Jose. On that trip was the first time I met Nosara. I came back to Nosara with a Costa Rican boyfriend that from San Jose. And I really believe in the spirit of Nosara and manifestation, because on that trip, I was standing on the beach in front of Casa Romantica by myself with my hands on my hips and said, if I ever get married, it'll be here. And a year later, in that very 50 meters of the beach, I was standing with DK, talking about surfing on one of my very first trips here. And up walks my husband. But that was really the turning point. Once Enrique and I met, it was like an anchor for me to come back here.
Gotcha. What year was this?
This was 2006, 2007.
Okay.
I was in school here 2005. So I actually first came to Nosara in 2005. At the time that I first came here, I was staying at the hotel that I now run, which was called Giardino Tropicale at the time. And Marcel, the old owner there, was really into sustainability. And he spent a lot of time talking to me about his, work in the NCA, his desire to make things better. And yes, he was kind of, like a good uncle in, teaching me about how things happen in Nosara. So I had my beginnings sort of in that place and under his wing, and that got me started working for the Civic Association, working for the Recycling Association way back then, and sort of learning about this community through my volunteer efforts, finding out what the roots were, what the issues were, and that was really fun for me. So,
all right. So it seems like you got your hooks in by getting involved in the community.
Yes.
And that kind of pulled back the curtain, and you kind of saw what this place was really all about, and you liked the spirit of it. And
yeah, and I just kept falling more and more in love with it, and in that time, back when rent was cheap, I had a $300 a month rent. I could go and work for a few months in the US, come down here and surf and do yoga and eat organic food and translate documents and go to meetings and try to push forth paperwork of how to make this place better.
I got you. So that was then. That was over a decade ago. Fast forward us to now in your life. What are you doing now? Who are you? And tell us about Nosara.
Well, I run the Gardens Hotel. I assist running El Local, the restaurant alongside of it. And I also, my husband and I have a family company that makes chocolates and coffee. We are 88 Organic Coffee, Nosara Chocolates. Everybody knows us for our peanut butter chocolates. We're now doing almond butter too. We do truffles by order. That little company is a passion piece for me, number one, because my mother-in-law is in charge of the production.
Cool.
I have some Oompa Loompa chocolate girls that help her. And watching that company get its legs and grow is a real source of joy for me.
So you guys have one or two things to do between you run the chocolate business, he runs the coffee business, you oversee the Gardens Hotel, and also help out with El Local restaurant.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy.
You have
there are no days off in working in Nosara. Really, there's always something to do. And I always say that Costa Rica has a couple of middle names. It's Costa Maintenance Rica or Costa Patience Rica. So there's always something that's taking up your time that needs attention. I am really proud to be an employer in this community. It's in my heartstrings to want to help people to be empowered to do more, to train themselves to do different jobs, to become their own business owner someday. I really love the program in Nosara that helps people become business owners.
Vive el Sueño.
Yes, love them. And so there's a lot of aspects of being an employer that can be tough when you have people's livelihoods in your hands. But I think we're fortunate that we have a lot of happy employees, growth opportunities. On that
because it's not always easy. So let me ask you this. Overall, what do you kind of see as some of the biggest challenges in the Nosara of today?
Making enough money to make business work properly is a real challenge.
What do you mean by that?
It's no secret that people call Costa Rica full of bureaucratic red tape. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. There's a lot of reporting that has to be done. You think that there are high prices in the summer months, but if you don't have enough money by the end of high season, you won't make it through low season. And I mean, I've been here for enough years that I think, you and I are both experts on how life works in Nosara and have probably both seen plenty of people come through town that didn't really have that understanding, and they just throw a bucket of money at something, and then comes August and they don't know what to do and they can't make it until the next year. So, balancing the budget for a full 12 months when you only have 4 or 5 months of really workable income, I think is one of the biggest challenges. And that coupled with the sense that I think there are a lot of people that come through here that think that businesses charge too much money. I've seen this in restaurant threads on Rant and Rave, and just the sheer amount of follow through, paperwork, and payments that you have to make to stay legal is nearly impossible. So, I don't think people realize the hard edges of actually getting things done properly.
Okay, so you covered a lot of ground there. I guess I'll just ask you this way. So are you saying that it's difficult to run a business here and make money?
Yeah. For sure. I don't care how much you charge. You got to make it through 6 months that don't have a lot of business.
Now, let me just jump on the other side of things. Especially I went to Nosara. The prices were pretty expensive. The food was expensive. The hotel was expensive. Everything's expensive. Your roads stink. And so I'm kind of bummed about all that stuff. What the heck? Why is it so expensive? Why do you charge so much at your hotel and at your restaurant? And for your chocolate and for your coffee?
The first thing I say to people that say that to me, do you remember that $140 taxi ride you took in here? Everything that gets here has to take that taxi ride. So everything comes with that premium cost. Nosara has a lot of magic. It has a lot of made beauty by what's going on here with sustainability, the kinds of people that are attracted here and what their offerings are. There's a lot of creature comfort goods and services that exist in Nosara that don't exist anywhere else in Costa Rica, and I dare say don't exist anywhere else in Latin America. This is a special place. If you want to come, you got to pay to play. Nosara is not Hako. Nosara is not some hodunk Caribbean town with 2 restaurants. Nosara is a premium place for, because of all the Trustafarians that live here, maybe started that, because of all the investment that's been attracted here by 100 articles and publications across the world. Nosara has become a destination of high-end travel, and that comes with a price tag. I do think that we've been dropped off a little bit from the beginning from Nosara's beginnings. We haven't been taken seriously by the municipality, the government, a lot of things until very recently.
Because you're hitting an interesting point, but someone listening to this might not understand the terms that you're using. So when
That's
you say,
right.
so when you say Nosara is not taken seriously by the municipality, explain that.
I'm sure you have another podcast that goes through the history of the creation of Nosara.
Yeah, but whoever's listening to this didn't listen to that.
When this neighborhood came to be, and John Hutchinson bought 3 farms Alan Hutchinson bought 3 farms in 1968. This was a planned retirement development where people would live from December through March.
And have a golf course. And at that time, the government in San Jose couldn't give a rat's ass about where Nosara was or what Nosara was doing. There wasn't even electricity here. So, we're backpedaling. We're trying to reverse engineer this town to work 12 months a year based on plans that never got really properly set back in the 70s. And there's been, I think in the last 5 years, particularly, a lot of growing pains on that because there is so much development so fast, and we still don't have these baseline things figured out like zoning. Well, you mentioned the road. Let's start with that.
The roads, yeah.
So there's a barrier you explained to us, there's a barrier to entry to this place.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's bringing that food or good or service had to come in on that as well.
Yeah.
So that affects your price points. And then you're also saying that historically Nosara's connection with our municipality, which is based in Nicoya, which is actually not really all that close to here.
No. And nobody talks about this very often, but Nicoya has never liked Nosara. Nicoya and Nosara are politically opposed from the beginning. And then you add the layer of the gringos that came here and settled. We'll let them pay for their own things. They're very good at raising money. So Nicoya has on a twofold left us alone, left us to figure stuff out. That's, the history of the dump, etc. And only now, because of our tax basis rising so quickly, are we getting some attention from them. So I hope that turns into some real substantial, regulations and stuff like that. But
I think it's improved more in the past couple of years than ever.
Definitely. There's, we know the people's names in the municipality. They actually do show up here. We are having some meetings. But, the concerted effort of what Nosara wants isn't there yet because we and Nosara aren't all on the same page. And that's become apparent in some of these meetings, right?
I'm laughing at how comical that statement was. On that note, let's bounce over to social media. So how do you feel about Nosara and social media? And the reason I'm asking that question is because you said sometimes we're not always on the same page. Yeah.
I mean, in social media, you see the rant and rave page comes up a lot. People, tend to just throw something out there that they may or may not really know the whole story. And then everybody and their brother with their cup of coffee starts commenting about it. And
that's if it's negative. If it's positive, no one says anything.
That's true and very unfortunate considering
that was my little dagger for the day at everyone.
We're such a happy-go-lucky rainbows and unicorns town, and we can't even talk about the good things as good as we talk about the bad things.
That's exactly right. And I've actually kept track of this. I've been systematically posting uplifting things on that page, and then every now and then I'll put in something more controversial. Mm-hmm. Everything that's controversial. Yeah, people want to talk about that. Literally everything. I wish this wasn't true, and this is my beef. Everything that's positive is not received. It's just like, oh, that's nice. So I call it the Jerry Springer effect. And I think Nosara, as much as everyone likes to be peace, love, and all of these things, I can make some hippie jokes here, but I don't want to make you mad. But the point being, we're all energy. and vibrations. But then I look at social media for this place and I don't really see that. I see negative vibrations. I don't see.
Well, depends on what page you're on.
Well,
go to the Nosara love page.
All right. That's fine. So
we do that too.
Okay.
But you're right. And I
was going to make a joke that you said doo-doo, and then I was going to bounce back over to say Nosara Love only has like 6 people watching it compared to all the gossip. And you're right. It depends on what page you go to. I'm president of the Security Association, so I have to look at this crap.
Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Right.
I learn about a lot of things that happen in the community by looking at those pages. Pick any subject. Somebody behind the scenes might be working on it. And if people go and talk too much trash, whether it's about the trash or like if they talk too much in a derogatory manner online, it discourages funding. And it hurts the people who are behind the scenes actually working on it. I know because I feel that pain a ton. And I bitch about it on this podcast all the time. And I'm going to continue to. And I'm kind of systematically trying to use this podcast to attack social media here. That's what I'm trying to do.
Because it's too easy, particularly on that page. It's too easy for anybody to just go and say, I'm mad about this. And then everybody chimes in because they're like, popcorn, rant and rave. What is everybody saying?
And I can appreciate good humor and smartassery too. I can.
I mean, I've made a couple of posts on there that I'm like, I just got sucked into that because I had to say something about this. Like,
and sometimes it's funny.
Sometimes it's funny. Yeah. I mean, I think it's unfortunate when people are attacking each other personally online, and they should just private message each other and make a meeting and work it out, or call a mediator. We have a few actual professional mediators in this town whose services should be used more. But like whenever I'm posting, to one of those comments, I feel like I'm always trying to educate people about there are more perspectives than this, or this is a bigger picture thing and you're not looking at this piece or that piece. But it is true that a lot of people are just like, I want to complain.
Well, and you know what? And I respect that. Everyone has a right.
How helpful is that?
Everyone has a right to go complain, and maybe it's helpful every now and then. I guess where it's a big turn off for me is when someone's trying to do something productive and someone sidetracks it into tit for tat.
Right.
And it took away from someone who's actually trying to do something.
Yes.
I guess
that's unfortunate. And thankfully that's not all the time, but I've seen those posts too.
And I was even thinking of that horrible page that you keep saying the name of. I'm just thinking like in general. Yeah, that page sucks. No, my strategy with this thing is I'd like to use the podcast to elevate the conversation. So what I've noticed is we have the same discussions over and over again. Every 90 days, we have the same argument. Name a subject, whether it's a tree, a monkey, security, fires, water, whatever. We recycle the same arguments. And after a decade plus of this, I've just had enough. I'm sick of it. So let me finish my point on this. What I want to do is I want to get people like yourself and other people sitting right here, speaking from your heart, directly from the source. And hopefully enough people hear that. And we can elevate it to where 3 months from now, we can start the argument just a little higher, and then next year we get a little bit higher. And then a year from now, when somebody moves straight into town, like always happens, somebody gets all fired up. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, there's a pretty good chance most everything that people are, these basic, amazing suggestions have been tried and failed, or something's blocking that. So what I'd like to do is just have a link that whenever somebody comes in and says, hey,
subject matter, click.
Just listen to this, and then we'll talk.
Yep.
And if I can do that enough, that's like going to be my big gift to Nosara.
I celebrate that. I think that the more concise, straight information that can get out in the world, then the more that all of that gossip stuff is mitigated. And
something that's interesting about you, as hippie as you are, you seem to have an ability, or at least I've seen it on certain occasions, where you can talk about both the sentiment, the feeling, and all that good stuff, and the sun and the moon, the stars and horoscopes and all these wonderful hippie type things. But I've also seen you be on the other side of being very realistic with facts and figures and procedures. I'm guessing it's because in your day job, you have to live in the world of procedures and all that type of stuff. But your heart and everything about you, all the way from your parents to your story to getting here to all of these things, are very much kind of on the feeling and sentiment side. So how do you have a foot in both worlds?
I think I've been fortunate to have a foot in both worlds my whole life.
Talk us through that.
My mom's a musician. I grew up in a rehearsal space. The art and the math and I think like the creativity of a chocolate business is a little bit art and math too. But business in general requires so much structure and organization and plotted procedures that are done on a timely basis. And I think I've just been trained well in that from, 10 years in the restaurant business in the States and folding that into the hospitality business here, folding it into the way that bureaucratic things have to be reported in Costa Rica. I mean, you get a lot of structure if you have to. And I think part of that structure piece is because I have to, because you're right. My passion is very hippy dippy. Like I thought I was going to be a travel writer or a yoga writer and talk about, raising our vibration and our galactic beings. But there's a lot of math behind that. I mean, if you really start to dissect what it is to be human, what it is to have consciousness, we're starting to talk about quantum physics. And that's exciting to me.
That is exciting.
I like the science-y aspect of things. So keeps me grounded, I think, in business.
All right, so let's get back to quantum physics and galactic beings in a couple minutes. But for right now, I want to jump back into here. So what advice do you have to give to the people who are just moving in Nosara, have lived here for a couple of years? They're starting to feel that pain, that friction that happens. Like, what advice would you say to people to kind of be realistic, but at the same time still have your hopes and dreams and all that good stuff too? Like, what would you say to those folks?
Those folks who are moving in here and want to stay forever and do something, or those folks who are here for a year?
Well, in my experience, most people say they're coming down forever and they make it about a year and then the pressure pushes them away.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I'm getting at. I want to get a seasoned person like yourself who has a foot in hippie land and also in the real world, quote unquote. How do you find that balance and make it here?
Well, you have to have a realistic plan about how the year is structured. And, until you're really immersed in Nosara for a couple of years at least, do you understand what happens in rainy season, what happens in maintenance, whether you just own a house or you run a business or you have a car? There's maintenance involved and there's expense in that. There needs to be a realistic understanding on what it takes to pay someone. There's a lot of people that are like, I'll be just happy to pay a couple thousand colones an hour cash and forget about it. Like, no, you can't do that anymore. You have to report the caja. You have to pay the taxes for all of these things. And, if you don't have an understanding of Spanish or you don't have a good lawyer that you can pay for a lot of this advice, it's not really out there. You have to bumble through it and make mistakes and figure it out. I think there's a lack of support for people who really want to start something here, especially if they don't know Spanish. And I think a lot of the people that have come down here and thought they would stay forever didn't have a realistic budget in mind for how much it costs, not only to live here, but then to leave and go visit your family. Or, those who don't have their residency straight have to take border runs. Those things cost money. They take time. And, when you're down here with stars in your eyes and just want to make a life in Tropicalia, you're not thinking about the day-to-day expenses that are incurred.
I'd say a big portion of the people who live here think the businesses make a lot of money. They think the rental houses make a lot of money. I see it, again, on social media in particular. These business owners or these these realtors or these restaurants, there's always somebody pointing a finger at something.
That's frustrating to see. What's that all about? Ignorance, in short. I mean, if you haven't tried to if you don't have to work here, I don't think you should be weighing in on people that have to work here.
Oh, that's quote of the day.
If you aren't doing business here, you shouldn't have an opinion on what it is to do business here. You should ask questions from people who are doing business here about how challenging it really is.
Tell us what you mean. Tell us what you're talking about.
Okay, let me give an example. The other day, just recently, there was a big post on tipping in restaurants. And there was part of that discussion of the restaurant owners should just pay the people more. and just divide the money better. I can tell you from my experience of running restaurants in the US and running restaurant here, there's not a lot of money in restaurant running. There's a lot of, your margin is razor thin to begin with.
There's a lot of competition too.
There's a lot of competition. If you don't have some big amount of liquor sales, you're likely to lose money on your food because food goes bad, food gets eaten, people drink liquor that work for you. I mean, there's all these kinds of ways that your profit is eaten away. So the expectation that a restaurant should just be, or any business for that matter, should just keep laying it out and laying it out. At what point does that become self-sabotaging? If you can't make it through 12 months a year with what's coming in, and you're being expected to pay out even more and raise rates or raise your salaries without raising your rates while people are complaining about the cost of food, while your cost of food keeps going up, now you have 13% extra tax added onto some things that you didn't before. It's a real challenge to make any business work. That's going through all of those legal processes, that has caja, that pays the hacienda.
Well, it's how everything is. The surf instructors, the yoga instructors, the realtors, just go down the list. Some people are doing things right. Some people are not.
Yes. And when you are doing things right, you're trying really, really hard and not making a whole lot of money.
Right. But your point
That's my point. And
your
people
point is
have
also the margins drop when you do things right because it's expensive to do things right.
Yes. And they drop so much that it would be challenging to raise expenses in other ways. Like, in the hotel and in the restaurant, we pay very good wages, way over minimum wages. We pay full caja. And when you do that, you also pay full benefits when you have to fire someone. I don't think people realize also how much social structure is built into the way you pay people, that there is a month of Christmas bonus that you pay to people, that there is a mandatory severance pay, that there is a vacation structure. All of these things at the end of the day cost money to a business, and you have to put that into your formula for how much you pay people.
I think I found your next job. The next one is you're going to be a consultant.
I've heard that before. For
people who set up, and we're going to knock the rough edges off you and find a way to make it like user bubble friendly type.
Yeah, there are a number
Spacialle,
of.
You got this thing nailed, and if you don't, then it's a wacky world out there, and it is.
It is a wacky world out there, but I've been fortunate.
And then you'll give them some chocolate.
Oh yeah,
and some coffee.
Yeah, we can have like a little welcome basket.
So say that's like your hook to get people in.
Yeah, if I have to have another business, if and when the hotel ever sells, I have considered consulting, because you're not the first person that said that to me.
Okay, but I'm saying it.
But that's because I'm a student of life. Like, I've really liked learning all of these processes and figuring this stuff out.
Whatever. It's not because you're a student of life. It's because you're intelligent and you do this every day. And that has added up year after year, day after day, year after year, into this enormous level of experience and familiarity and comfortability, if that's a word I can make up, into doing all this stuff. And most people don't know how. So you should charge a fee for that, and people will gladly pay you.
Okay.
I'll help support you with that one. I like it.
All right. When my schedule opens up a free day, we'll start talking about it.
We'll get that started in about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah. It'll be a while yet. I'm loving my job. I love running the hotel. I love making it better.
What's the best part about it? I know you're going to say the people.
Of course I'm going to say the people.
Okay.
I mean, well, we have really good retention of repeat business. So like, I've seen some people's families grow. I've seen people's relationships change. I have people that are excited to come and see what we've done this year.
So the continuity is your favorite part.
The continuity of the people that I get to know on a deeper level. I have friends all over the world that are like, yeah, come stay with me sometime if you ever get out of there. That is going to follow me for the rest of my life. And I really love that global connection.
Why do people keep coming back there then?
Because we make it feel like home. We're, our two phrases are shoes are optional and mi casa su casa. People we have an honor fridge. People get to kind of do what they want. We have all kinds of great amenities and sustainability practices that we make we make our clients aware of. They can learn about the garden. They can learn about our bees. They can learn about the organic cotton we buy.
So it's just sticky. You got a lot of.
We have a really good vision for vacation style. And, I have to credit George and Anna, our designer, for the beginnings of that. When we did the first remodel, it was just night and day where it was before when it was Giardino and where it is now that it's the gardens. And with the addition of El Local and how that has really up-leveled our corner, the consistency of our offering there, the farm to table and organic focus. It's easy for it to be a passion piece because there's so much about what we're doing there that I love to share with people and love to talk about, and the things that we get to support. George lets me donate money to different things. So
then shout out to George.
We're part of the Nosara Animal Care. We donate to Costas Verdes. We donate to Tortuguiones. We are about to start donating to the Bomberos. And hopefully we'll be doing the beer garden thing with them again this year. We try to also offer the space to the community for meetings and stuff. We've had the municipality there before, when we did the first round of presentations about the change of the wildlife refuge to a mixed use refuge. That whole plan was laid out one day in the restaurant, and other organizations that want to come to us and have meetings and host stuff, like, we're always open for it.
Gotcha. I'll remember that and take you up on it in the future for some stuff, I'm sure.
Please.
I think what makes your spot so different, outside of all the little things that you just went through, I think it's when you get back behind the parking lot and you see the grounds and you get down by the pool.
It's a secret.
It catches everyone off guard.
Yeah.
I was here forever before I walked back there and really digested.
Yeah.
Whoa, this
There's a lot
garden.
of people that don't even know the hotel exists. Strangely enough, even though there's a sign out there, they'll come to the restaurant and be like, "Oh, this is a hotel."
It's funny you say that. That happened the other day.
It's a little magic mountain. There's where basically the hotel is on the back side of a hill, and that's energetically a really safe place. It feels really homey and secure, and the porches are all in their own little garden. There's a lot of privacy because of our giant mature gardens. It does take people by surprise often. I'm there every day, so I know every inch of it. But
Great.
I mean, people that I've known for years have had their first tour in the last year or two.
All right, so I want to veer our conversation wildly astray from what we've been talking about so far. I want you to go ahead and go full hippie mode and galactal beings and all that stuff. Tell me, where's your mind really at? And when you allow yourself to wander, what's going on?
Okay. What informs me as a human being is our connection to source. Whatever you want to call that, if it's, a traditional god or an energy god, whatever moves us and makes us vibrate at the speed of life is our essence and our purpose. Whatever I'm doing in the day, I want to support it with love and raise its vibration, whether that is, petting my dog, helping an employee with a difficult situation, making a room more beautiful so somebody comes in and sees flowers and champagne and their honeymoon is better. Whatever it is, it's to raise vibration. Okay. I think our purpose on this planet is to interact and observe and use our vibration for betterment of humanity. Whatever started humanity or started this planet, we could debate endlessly.
We don't have to do that. I want to get back to you and your hippiness. So do you feel that locations have these vibrations that you're talking about? Heck
yes.
Okay. So
Nosara is the belly button of the Americas. What I usually call it is that.
Right.
Whatever people come here for or think they come here for, they're coming here to get back to their core. And that can be by choice or by force. depending on their actions when they get here. You know, as we've seen, sometimes Nosara kicks people out in a pretty ugly way, and that kind of strips you down to the core of your being, and you grow from there. Or you came here for a yoga retreat and you want to unravel some old trauma, you come here. Whatever it is that you think Nosara attracted you to, you're here for healing. You're here for raising your own vibration. You're here for helping others raise their own vibration. This place is a collection of light workers, healers, people that are seeking those things. And I think I feel really fortunate that I'm here, because this place has all that hippy dippy magic stuff, and yet I can make a living. Sort of. So it's a better place for my kind of being to exist, because in a big city, you know, I was dying on the subway and taking clothes to the dry cleaners and all that, like, dirty, you know, metropolis stuff. This is way more connection to the source of the energy that I am. The way I feel in the water when I surf is like the closest thing to connection with God and spirituality that I for me, that exists. This is the thing that makes me realize how magical we all are. This place is kind of an opportunity to exercise that in a way that doesn't exist in every place. Certainly not other places in Costa Rica, and probably not a lot of major cities, because society and late capitalism and politics, they all make those things muddy and not that important. Where did we turn as humans and focus on making a living and getting that car and getting that house, and turn away from who am I as a person? What am I on this planet for? How can I use my energy to affect things for good? Those core questions are so vivid and alive here in a way that people want, and they want to be able to access that stuff, and they need to, because we're in massive problems all over the planet with wars and shortage of resources and all these things that can just make you go into the fear brain and like shut everything down and forget about it. You can come to a place like this and fall back in love with the vibration of being human, the excellence of energy and motion, the connection of one human to another or human to nature. I don't know. I think those things, it feeds me.
Okay, so take a break. That was impressive. That was some good hippie talk there. You did a good job.
I like hippie talk.
All right, so now let's narrow it down a little bit further. I'm going to ask some direct questions.
Okay.
All right, so do aliens exist?
Definitely. I mean,
that's a strong adverb. Tell me why. Or how do you know definitely?
Well, I mean, I don't personally know because I haven't done all of that studying, but I do read.
You believe it, though. You said definitely without hesitation.
Well, okay. I have a deep knowledge in my own being where I've accessed other lives of myself. And I can remember being in a life that was cloistered. I can remember being in a life where we were reinterpreting the Bible. I can remember being in a life where we were leaving Atlantis. And these things...
So you're saying like not just like the traditional stuff you read about in books, a couple lifetimes. You're saying...
My own
deep.
being, my own DNA, the knowledge that's available in there. When you can go to a place of deep meditation or... exploration.
What was Atlantis like?
We were bigger. We were bigger people. We were taller. And you know, there's, if you ever watched a show called Ancient Aliens, anybody who wants to know if aliens exist should just watch that show.
Okay. All right.
There's like 14 seasons out of it out there. You know,
it's called Ancient
we're in the world
Aliens?
of Netflix. Ancient Aliens.
Okay.
There's a few like scholars in this industry that get interviewed a lot on this show that talk about like interpreting different texts from a modern perspective. And if you look at all of the depictions of ancient gods, they had wings. They came with fire and smoke. What does that say to you? It says spaceship to me. There in some islands in Indonesia, there's this depiction of like a mother bird where men come out of it. That looks like an airplane to me. So we have all of these ancient stories that we're trying to explain that the gods came from the sky and they made us or fixed us up and they gave us these rules and they gave us these tools. I interpreted all of that as alien visitation in the ancient past.
You're saying did aliens just come here and that's how we got started, or you're saying they keep coming back?
I think both.
So
I
both.
mean, I don't, and I don't think that like they made humans out of dust. There's a long history on this planet of plant and animal evolution, but if you look at human evolution, we always talk about that missing link. What happened in that blink? And there's two things that happened in that blink.
I was just going to ask you what happened.
We were given language, and female womb was turned on a gene so that it wouldn't reject a fetus of different DNA. So there was somewhere in there that somebody came down here, I think, and spliced into our DNA. You ever see the ancient Egyptian stuff where there's like dog-headed things and different animals put together? Well, like we're doing that in modern technology now. There's a Russian scientist that attached 2 dog heads to one body. Like that's just technology that we didn't have thousands of years ago that somebody else apparently did. And they came to visit us and give us tools. And, when we talk about gods or God, it's always somebody from the sky. So there's got to be more to that.
Interesting. All right, so
that's where my mind goes for aliens.
What's next? What's the future?
There's at some point, the governments have to let us know officially. There's been a whole bunch of UFO stuff that's been declassified that people talk about. Area 51 that people talk about in the U.S.
So you think governments are withholding this information?
Definitely, because of society's expectations of what our history is, i.e. religion. We have a lot of rhetoric of where we came from that is undone if we say, hey, this also happened. And I think that since time immemorial, when governments, ours and others around the world figured that out, like, oh, we don't want a catastrophe of humanity going out and looting things and starting things on fire because they don't really have to follow the morality of religion anymore. I mean, I think that's the idea maybe that government has, but... Will
this all happen in your lifetime?
Who knows? Maybe, if we're lucky. I would love to see this world radically change its origin story. There's just too many holes in the one we've got.
Okay, fair enough. All right, astrology. Is there something to it or no?
Definitely. If you're thinking about your galactic energy that chooses to come to Earth at this time, this is... Have you ever read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
So there's this overarching tenet that Earth is like a computer and we're trying to figure out an answer. And then when they do, they blow it up anyway. Like, what's to say that we are all in this mission to deal with life on Earth, and we're sending all this imagery and information back to wherever it is we came from via light waves and our quantum selves. What are we doing when we're dreaming? How are we mixing with other parallel universes? There is that essence of us that chose this time and this place to be living, this pattern in the stars to be born. I think we choose our parents and we choose our time, and we have a deep purpose written in our history of what we're going to do this time. And, sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. Life is hard. People go through trauma. Challenges happen and set you off course. But if you can get to your essence, and if you can keep yourself in your essence, you can really push forward your spiritual contracts. And so astrology is a way to inform yourself about how to better navigate that. When I used to read Ashley's astrology column, she doesn't do it anymore, sadly, but every month.
Shout out to Ashley.
Shout out to Ashley.
She's a nice lady.
Yes. And I'm lucky enough to have her as my neighbor. She has the store next door to me. So I get a lot of information informed information about what's going on in the planets right now that are making technology so fucked, or that are making people not understand each other, or that are making this or that so hard. And, it's just a way for us to look and go, okay, well, we know that Venus is about love. We know that Mars is about business. And when this is happening and this is affecting this, we have to look at our relationships or our books, accordingly. It's just a map to be able to better navigate the seas in front of you.
If somebody walks up and says, hey, listen, that's all a bunch of hogwash or craziness or any of this, do you respond, or you just let them feel however they feel?
In my business, you have to let people be where they are.
That's what I was getting at. I could see you moving around all busy. You want to talk to someone,
just
something
the
comes
same,
up.
I'm not going to fight somebody who's into Trump. They're my client. I might not believe the same politics, but I'm just going to try to glaze over that and change the subject.
Hold on, no, I'm not going to let you. So I just hit the brakes. We're doing a slide. I'm doing a 180 on the conversation road. Trump, is he going to get reelected?
I hope not.
Do you think he will?
I hope not. I mean, my opinion is that he should have crashed and burned a long time ago. I think he's turning our government on its head and screwing up everything he possibly could in the U.S. And that's affecting our tourism. That's affecting other countries. It's affecting how solid the U.S. looks in the face of the rest of the world. And I mean, for me, it's the lowest I've had to hang my head as an American.
I got you. So do you think Trump is good or bad for Costa Rica?
Horrible.
Okay, why?
Well, okay, so there's people that say all the stuff that he's doing is making the stock market go up and some people have some more money, but the majority of Americans are really struggling, and the stuff that he's doing and turning off in different departments are making Americans struggle more, and that means less people will be able to afford to take a vacation to Costa Rica. His aid to Costa Rica is married to the military ability to police the seas here. I don't think that's great for a sovereign country as much as the U.S. is Costa Rica's big brother. Costa Rica should have a little bit more say in what it does. And I think a lot of developing countries, third world countries have been silenced because of the U.S.'s influence, and they're not even allowed to make their laws as they wish. Okay, so bounce across the Pacific on over to China. How do you feel about China's influence in Costa Rica and Latin America specifically? Well, I can't say that I know much about the politics of Asia, but I remember when the Taiwanese built the Friendship Bridge, and part of that investment was about Costa Rica recognizing Taiwan as a regular country, and China came in and stomped their foot on that, and is trying to use Costa Rica as a publicity stunt to make other Latin American countries become China friendly. And I think that's detrimental to poor little Taiwan, who's never really gotten their say in the world. They're kind of like the Puerto Rico of China, I guess. Being, told what to do and a protectorate and all that. And they wished they could be a regular country. I wished if China wants to be such good friends with Costa Rica, they can come in and fix the Taiwanese bridge, because it needs some help, apparently. The flood of Chinese products in Costa Rica, I don't think is great for Costa Rica. It hurts the quality of our own rice and beans and garlic and all those other crap products that they're shipping in, full of pesticides and chemicals and stuff that isn't overseen very well there. There was a year ago or something, some Chinese candies came in that were like laced with salmonella or something. Free trade isn't always good for small countries. Okay, so how do you feel about the new Chinese supermarket that's rolling into town? I mean, other than seeing that corner paved and seeing how big it is, I don't really know much about who is bringing that in or what products they're going to have. My husband's happy that we're going to have another outlet for selling our chocolates and coffee. I mean, as a small business, it's great to have another outlet where you can sell your stuff. As far as how that affects Roosevelt, everybody wants to be loyal to his business since he's the first guy in town and he's done a lot of expansion. There's competition in that. But, there's 3 or 4 supermarkets in this whole town. There's how many restaurants? Competition is part of capitalism. And, for whatever whatever fortune that brings, people that come and dump money into this town create jobs, create a tax basis. If they're selling stuff for cheaper than somebody else, it creates competition to help bring the prices down, which, as a business person, I understand how that sometimes makes businesses suffer. But that's the free market. I'm not mad at them for showing up. I think that they're going to have a lot of fun in that parking lot skating it.
Okay, so as hippie-ish and all these things as you are, and as much as you're into aliens and all this fun stuff, you still are okay with capitalism and a free market?
I have to be, because I need to make money to keep my life working. I mean, there's a piece of me that would love to just live off grid and make salads and grow my own food, but that's not reasonable or possible for the way modern life is. If I want to go visit my parents, it costs money to buy a plane ticket. If I want to go out to dinner with my tourist friends who want me to go play tourist with them, I have to pay for dinner, and that's expensive here. So you need to do a lot of hustling in order to make life work here.
Hey, what's it like having your friends come down and you being so busy? I'm interested in what you have to say.
It's so challenging. When you're juggling different these, and it depends on the time of year too. I have friends who are visiting right now, and this is wonderful because I usually see these people in the height of high season when I'm like, go have a nice time on that tour. I'll maybe see you for dinner. I'll maybe doing payroll until 7:00 and then tie it up and land at the table just in time for dinner. And now, there's maintenance stuff going on, but time is a little bit stretched out because there's less clients in town. But the surf isn't as good either. So, we're not going surfing much this week, even though there's time, because, the water's murky and it's just not as cool as it is in January or March. I have had not as many friends visit as I thought I would in the 12 years I've been here. But it's always a time challenge when people come visit. I always have to compartmentalize, I'll be able to meet you after 10, or I have to do this meeting and then I'll see you after you get back from the beach. It's making anything happen here is a lot of time management, as Pura Vida lifestyle as this is. And I'm time challenged. I will say I'm often late for things. I'm late in finishing things because there's so much going on at any given time. Whether it's October or January, there's a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of pages open. There's that report I have to make. There's just a lot of stuff in the way for me playing tourist.
I get you. That all makes sense. All right. So let me ask you this. Let me try to answer my own question about you, if you'll give me that right.
Okay.
All right. So what are your Nosara likes? Here's what I think they are. I think it's the people. I think it's the environment and the emphasis towards sustainability. And I think it's the energy vortex, or whatever the term is that you feel. I think those are your likes. Is that true?
That's safe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything I missed outside of surf or something obvious like that?
Yeah. Only in Nosara do you get this beach. There is something to be said for the specific backdrop of our beach, the proximity to different really cool things in nature
Gotcha.
that don't exist other
environment,
place.
nature, all that.
Yeah.
So we covered it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fast forward to get to a couple specific dislikes, because everyone already knows the likes, and that's why I was answering it for you. I am more interested in people listening to this are more interested in knowing what the dislikes are, because everyone sees the articles, everyone sees all the social media. Everything's great. I eat this organic food and my vibration's fantastic. All these other things. Great, whatever. I want to know what you dislike.
I dislike the lack of accountability and enforceability in the government generally.
And the red tape
to get things done, or to try to get things done, or the letters you have to write to officials to remind them that it is their job to get things done. The speed at which things move on a political level is molasses in January. I mean, if we talk about the road, the first time an article came out about paving the road was like 1982, right? I mean, and we're still sort of in this process. And there's the contracts that are there with administrative errors that have held up the actual production for 6 months. It's those kind of things that are just like enraging when you're trying to do something good.
I got you. Okay, so I'll try to summarize that. The efficiency of the bureaucratic process here drives you nuts.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And the accountability of officials, which is null, and the enforceability of laws which actually exist on the books, which is null.
It's funny how we're trying to get a lot of laws set up right now, and a lot of people, including yourself, you've actually brought this up before. You're like, well, what about enforcing the ones they do have?
Well, yeah. I mean, in a place, and let's unpack what it is to be Costa Rican for a minute. There hasn't been a military here in over half a century. Just written into the code of how it is to be a Costa Rican is a passivity, a not wanting to fight something.
Now, why do you have the authority to say that? Some white person somewhere just heard you say that, and they're like, how could she say that? She's not from there.
I have a degree in cultural studies. It is my job to see the differences of the history, the sociology, the actual pieces that make up a cultural identity.
Okay,
and not
so
just
fine, you have a degree. What else?
Costa Rican. Well, I'm also married to a Costa Rican. I've been in a Costa Rican family for 12 years. I have a really healthy understanding of how people look at things and how people drop the ball on things, and pura vida later on. And it's not any knock on my family at all, because my family is great.
You're not being racist, or you're not being derogatory?
No, I'm not at all being derogatory. What my goal is to bridge understanding. Because I think, and assumptions is one of the things I was going to say that really bothers me here. A lot of people make a lot of assumptions based on their sliver of understanding of what's going on. You come here from another place. I'm sorry, you're not in Kansas anymore. Things don't work like they should, like they need to. I think everybody should take should and need to out of their sentence structure in reference to how things work or don't work here. Because you have to understand the makeup of the process at hand, or the thing that you're looking at. Costa Ricans, I'll give you an example that I found unfortunately true on many fronts. The education system here is not the same. It's not funded the same. The subject matter isn't covered the same. And one thing that I have asked people over and over again, my husband, my niece and nephew, kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? There is not that question in the school system here. There's an assumption that you're going to grow up to be whatever your parents are. There's no room to dream in that. And yes, I actually do have authority to speak about Costa Rica because I just became a citizen.
Here's what was in my mind. Education background, married to a Tico, family, businesses, everything else, and then the citizen.
Yeah.
That's a good docket there. Like, you could go straight to that. You don't even have to do anything else.
I have 2 countries now.
Nice.
And
Congratulations.
thank you. I deliberately wanted to become a citizen of Costa Rica ever since I got here. And I mean, I got the easy route. I got the fast track route because I married a Costa Rican, and that was a serendipitous, wonderful piece. I love my husband. I love his outlook. I love the education that I'm able to get through talking to him. We used to, back in the early days of $300 rent, we used to sit in a hammock together and talk about different expressions of Spanish and English. And that's a form of learning and understanding too. But when it actually came time for me to be able to apply for my citizenship, I mean, my real reason is because I want to vote.
Well, hey, congratulations.
And cheaper yoga classes.
All right. I want to know your 3 favorite restaurants and what you like to get there. And it can be in no particular order. So just shoot from your hip.
Ooh, all these 3 favorite restaurants have to be in Nosara?
Area. Nosara area. Not Chicago.
There's an Indian restaurant in San Jose I love.
No.
Okay,
Actually, we could give them a little love. Is the one over by Out of Bounds?
The original is Taj Mahal, which has been there forever. There's a place called Taste of India.
Is that the new one that opened up by Walmart?
Yes. Delicious. Amazing. Before that, I go to Nans and Curry's.
All right, fine. Let's get back to Nosara.
So back to Nosara.
3 favorite restaurants, and what do you like to get there?
El Local, of course. I live there. I eat there a lot.
I'm going to hear you out, but we're going to disqualify this from your count because you're associated. But what do you like to get at El Local?
Well, there's a chicken barbecue pizza that I think is awesome. That's kind of my go-to when I don't have enough time to eat.
All right, so El Local's out of there. You can't be affiliated with the restaurant.
Okay. There's so much to think about.
Just pull it out. If you're hungry, where would you go?
If I'm hungry, I love Cascada. Okay. They do a great lunch whenever they do a dinner program or like a curry of the week or something. I'm down for that.
Did they open back up?
November, I think.
They are opening.
Yeah, they are
for sure?
opening. Well, I don't know. I'm not the authority on that, but I did see Dan, and he said he was starting up dinner soon. So
cool.
I think they're going to open back up.
So Cascada, that's a great one.
Cascada is a great like daytime thing. I also always have loved the cafe outside of Harmony. On the way to the juice bar. Yeah. I love their green juice. I love the lemongrass avocado cashew salad. I also really like the Greek salad.
Okay, so Cascada and then the Harmony Juice Bar?
The Harmony Juice Bar.
What's number 3?
Then, let's see, number 3, where do I order from the most? I love Pacifico Azul. They're right down the street. Consistent seafood. We love their calamari.
So calamari?
Yeah, the calamari, the avocado fish, the avocado mahi-mahi. That's probably one of my favorite complete dishes. I do love dolce vita too. Like when somebody comes to town and I really want to spoil them with an Italian meal, big glass of Chianti, all the pasta you can have. Their mariscata is amazing. It's like a whole 13x9 pan of seafood covered in pastry dough and put in the oven. Very nice dish.
All right. So you like the restaurants here? I
do. I mean, for fortune, I have one at my side. So I do eat at El Local a lot. But I also like Taco Tuesday. I like El Chivo. They do great margaritas. Not often that I get to have a margarita, but if I do, I'm going to go get one of theirs.
Do you have any thoughts or ideas or any kind of messages you'd like to get out to the community while you have this platform?
Well, I mean, in regards to social media, I think it's a way more mature approach to go directly to the people that you have issues with and talk in private and mediate in private. Because as you said, this is a small community and things get blown out of proportion and then people get labeled different ways. And I don't think that that's fair. So having accountability for your opinions with the people you have a beef with, whenever something has gone sideways for me, I've always tried to address the person directly. And I just think that's a more mature approach.
So communicate.
As fun as getting popcorn and watching Rant and Rave is, it would be nice to see some of that stuff done in private. And just in general, having an open ear, asking questions, not being quick to judge or quick to form an opinion on why or how something is the way it is, because there's a whole lot of darkness on the other side of a thing that you don't know anything about. And I'll quote one of my favorite Sanskrit words is Anakantavada, which says true wisdom is seeing all sides of the thing. So if you are looking at any subject, think of it as a diamond, that there is only one facet that you can see and there's a whole lot of stuff that you can't see. And so if you're going to form an opinion, ask more questions and make sure you really have a true understanding of the thing before you go spouting off to the abyss about what you think.
Hey, I want to thank you for coming in.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for getting me here. I love you and love this place and hope we have this opportunity again. And I love watching your podcasts and learning more about the other people in community that are aligned with all the things that we're doing.
I hope it's helping. And we're going to have you back and you got to finish up some more of this alien stuff that I don't understand. So
for sure.
You're coming back. Hey, thanks, Spacialle.
Thank you.